But of course, when they're little, when your kids are little, hey, mom, hot tip. When your kids are little, oh gosh, give them a bus ride somewhere, somehow get it so they can ride on a bus, because little kids are like, bus, it just seems like so much fun. So take them to the city, let them ride the subway, let them ride on a bus, let them get that out of their system. But around fourth or fifth grade, they had their cousins, they had their neighbor friends, and all of a sudden they started going, I kind of got it made with this homeschool thing. Yeah. The talk about, oh, I want to go to school there ended, because now they're mature enough to realize I have got it made in the shade. In fact, some of their friends are saying, wow, we wish we were homeschooled.
Right.
So they all went to public school because they needed to. And they weren't desensitized to all that's going on. And let me tell you, this was years ago, but they went to an award-winning school. What a mess. What an absolute. and I love to say, there is no perfect school. If we can spend our time daydreaming that we have the money for private school. I know one family that moved from the Atlanta area to a smaller town in North Carolina because there was an affordable private school there. It was much cheaper than the private schools in the Atlanta area. But a lot of people cannot afford private school. But if you could, there still is no perfect school. There's no perfect private school. It's not going to be the answer to all of your problems. But most of us, that's just a fantasy. So let's not waste any more time on it. We don't have an extra. At best, $12,000 a year to send a child to private school. So then we have public school. Well, I think that as we homeschool, and it can be difficult, and we wonder if we are enough for our children, which we are, but we have those days, and we start forgetting what it's like. I saw a Facebook post the other day from someone who said, oh yeah, we put my daughter back in school in the fall for 2 weeks because we'd forgotten why. We'd forgotten why we took her out. And then we were like, oh yeah, this is
took
why
2
we're
weeks.
homeschooling. It took 2 weeks. It's like, yeah, there is no perfect school. Your homeschool is not perfect. Private school isn't perfect. Public school isn't perfect. There is no perfect school. But with homeschooling, we can go, I know my child is smart. I can get my child engaged in learning. And I know that they don't peak in high school. Nobody stopped learning in high school. Just, we act like it. Okay. This is how I want to unburden you, moms. Look at me. It was a small town. We didn't have a traffic light where I graduated from high school. And oh, she's just gonna get married and have babies. Okay, I did get married and have babies, but education is good, and you never lose anything you educated. But just passing somebody through is not a good way to go about, thinking of their education. So that certainly wasn't a perfect school. And teaching my kids that, no, the sky's the limit. What do you want to do? What is your natural bend? Which way can we direct you that's naturally? And then I would just say all the time, your character will take you far. Your character will take you far, because you don't quit learning. That's what I was going to say. Did I quit learning at high school? Hello? No, I told you that I did. It was 2 years. It took 2 years to get out of my brain that I was a failure. It took 2 years before I was literally saying, I think I might be smart. I think I might be capable. So when I graduated from high school, I had zero plans. Very sad. But I look back and I got, Jennifer Hand, what the heck did you think you were going to do? You didn't have any plans. It's like, well, why would I plan a future when I've just seemed to be pushed down for the last 13 years as incapable? So with my kids, I'm lifting them up. I'm lifting them up. I'm lifting them up. So if your child is, really, if you're a real academic family, our kids are a lot like us. Awesome. We need people of good character as CPAs, as lawyers, as politicians, as doctors, all those things. We need great laborers who are going to show up and are going to work hard and be the leader. All 3 of our kids are leaders. We raise them to be leaders.
Yes.
Nobody peaks in high school. So there's one of the ways I want to unburden you, Mom. You're not going to teach them everything. And as you go along in homeschooling, one of my sons was correcting me. The first one to correct me, and Like when the things that he loved, I learned real fast to shut up because this kid is learning on his own. That's what we're doing in homeschooling. We're giving them time to read. We're giving them time to pursue their interests. We have to turn off the screens. We really have to put boundaries around the screens. But nobody finishes in high school. Nobody peaks. It's okay. They can continue to learn after high school. And of course, there's a lot of ways to teach high school, but that's just one of my thoughts was to unburden you is that you don't have to teach them everything at the exact time the local public school is. And you're teaching them how to learn and you're teaching them their character. So what I always said was your boss wants somebody who's teachable and reliable. If you're not going to steal from the company, if you're going to show up on time when you're supposed to, and if you're going to be teachable, you will go far. And that certainly is what my kids have learned, is that they've succeeded everywhere they're at. And then they've looked at these other people and like, what is their problem? Why are they calling out? Why are they coming to this job and they don't know how to do simple things? Simple things on the computer, simple things manually. Like, what the heck happened to these kids? I'm like, yeah, I know. They just get put through the system. They just get put through the system. And then we act like homeschoolers are disadvantaged. Are you kidding me? We have the opportunity as homeschool parents to socialize our kids way better than they're going to be socialized in a classroom full of peers. Right? Are their peers going to teach them like at 7 years old, like I taught mine how to properly shake a hand and look in the eye? And to this day, my kids will still tell me who they've met that doesn't know how to shake hands properly. Are they going to know, how to speak out and about because you have them with you all of the time, and how to, stand up for themselves and to speak to adults, to look them in the eye. And then we also have the opportunity to keep them away from screens when they need to be kept away from screens. I'm here to tell you, if homeschool community will do different than the rest of the world, than your average goings on at public school, our kids are we're going to continue to excel. The homeschool community kids are going to continue to do better than average, better than average for sure.
Indeed. I don't think enough emphasis, and I'm glad you brought up character. I don't think enough emphasis is placed on character development as in the public school system. And I get it. Academics is academics, and they feel like, got to teach a bunch of facts, I guess. I don't know. But, character development is very, very important. I hone in on that continuously with my girls about them and what would someone say about you. Like somebody was to interact with you and meet you and spend time with you, what would be their takeaway from you? That's what I'm always focused on. Like, how do you make people feel? How do like that type of thing, as opposed to, do you know 7 times 7? Like, okay, that's something we can memorize at any time. But how do you make people feel? How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel? What do you feel your character? How would you describe yourself? I don't think enough emphasis is placed on character in a traditional school setting. I remember talking to my 10th graders about morals. A lot of them didn't know what they were. We had an assignment, and it was something about characters and talking about moral, but a lot of them didn't know what it was. And that was the 10th grade. I'm like, moral are? Like, oh my,
yeah.
like, how did we get here? Like, how did we get here? Literally, how did we get here?
I think parents are confused because we're getting so many mixed messages from the culture that aren't good as far as when it comes to those morals. They're actually flipping it. I think culture has flipped it some. Or I love what you said about, how do you care about yourself? And it's not just the struggling student. These kids, oh my gosh, honestly, my heart breaks for what's going on with social media and trying to put this persona out that's so unrealistic that nobody could keep up with. We've got adults doing it, so the young ones are doing it. But especially if you struggle to pass the test, or, maybe somebody here has, the child with high functioning autism or whatever, that they don't, I think homeschooling does have a disproportionate number of struggling students because school is, excuse me, hell for them. Because a lot of times when kids are slower to process, the other kids realize it and they're not patient with them, or they make fun of them, or kids who are struggling with learning disabilities when they're younger, they really need their parents to help them to know, okay, get out of that person's bubble, or that's not appropriate laughter, or here's when you laugh. So some of you have even a little additional social skills training to do, but thank goodness you can do it at home. Thank goodness you can be teaching them at home and with some of their homeschool friends and some of the neighbor friends and in a safe space. And it just takes time of working with them and for, and giving examples of, remember when so-and-so did that and you really didn't like it? Okay, well, that's what you just did to them. Oh, I did? Yes. This is how you do, so you're teaching, and to care about themselves. My son in high school, some of his best friends that he'd been doing homeschooling with for years and other running around, they were high academic and they were getting biology degrees at the local university and mechanical engineering degrees and all of this. And school was always such a struggle for him. And I'd have to sit him down in a chair and say, you are good at, this is who you are. You do this amazing and better than anyone. You do this well. You do this well. We are their biggest cheerleaders. So we're going to take the grit it takes to teach them. 7 times 7 is important, those discipline studies, but there's going to be a lot of discovery studies. There's going to be a lot of discussion. And as your kids get older, you're doing more and more discussion studies with them. You may not always agree. You guys are talking about history, you're talking about economics and politics, and they're hearing stuff over here, and you're having these great conversations of because you're wanting to, and here's the end game. My number one thing was always relationship over academics. So my number one thing is I was going to have a great relationship with my kids. So when we would be having maybe a struggle over some academics or a struggle over some obedience issues, always just looking at my number one goal is to get done with this homeschooling and have a great relationship with my kids. And as they're getting older, you're moving into a coaching role. So when they're young, you have them close to you and you're teaching them all the manners and all the things. And then as they get older, but you're always working on that respect. So I think where people get confused some now is that we can't make anybody uncomfortable. I had a mom say to me, well, are you saying that if I tell my child to do their math, they're talking about elementary child, and they say they don't want to, that I should tell them they have to do it anyway? Yes, I am, because they're going to go to work. See, a lot of times the hard schoolwork is part of their character training. Like, this is hard. Yes, I know. But to a 6-year-old, you're going to say, I want you to practice your penmanship. You take their age and add 2. So the 6-year-old, I want you to practice your penmanship for 8 minutes. Like, solidly sit there and write that letter that you're struggling with or whatever. Write those sentences really nice and why don't you work on it for 8 minutes? You set the timer. Or whatever works for your child. But that's a good starting point. The same with their math back. So you've sat them on the couch next to you. You've given them their little math lesson. You've made sure that they understand. You've checked the first couple of problems. They've got them correct. Okay, I want you to do the rest of these practice problems. You're 8 years old. Okay, I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. I want you to diligently sit at this table and do 10 minutes of math computations. And you're training them to be disciplined. And somewhere along the line, discipline became a bad word because I've done book clubs and I've done summer clubs with moms. And I say, everyone tell me what you think discipline means. And I want to turn it on the head. And discipline means, it's not a bad thing. Discipline means to train. It's like going to the gym and working out. You're disciplined for your sport so you can improve at your sport. But we also need to be disciplined at some of our schoolwork so we can improve at our schoolwork, because we need to know how to read. Hello. Because that's how we're going to learn.
Indeed.
We do have an opportunity to teach our kids really well, but to give them boundaries. And I think kids, in the end, they want boundaries. I just did a mom's retreat and we had a lot of fun going over learning styles. Are you auditory, kinesthetic, visual? Are you an analytical learner? Are you a global learner? You know, those things are really fun to look at for ourselves. Even since I was prepping for the retreat, I had some family members here. I said, okay, let's everybody do it. And we all kind of knew what we were to start out with. And it was fun to get with the mamas and say, okay, here's how you can help your child with those discipline studies if they're a kinesthetic learner. Here's how you can help their child with those math facts if they're a visual learner, or if they're an auditory. What does it mean if they're an auditory learner? So that's what you want to go to your homeschool conferences for. That's what mama you want to be. Moms, you need to be educating yourself. And when you're just at your wits end, because hello, life, sometimes even looking at, wait a minute, backing up and going, what is my child's learning style? What might I be able to do? Like if I could do one thing different in our school day that could help that child. So this is why we need each other, and we need your podcast and this talking together, because we have so much on us as moms, we forget. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that child really needs to be able to talk everything out.
Indeed. And you've written a